Come on in, folks, take a seat for some welcome board of the plunk for James Larsson.
This presentation has changed name a couple of times. I thought basically I'll cut to the chase because this is going to end up in motherboard the plunk, and I have the materials outside if anybody actually wants to play with motherboard the plunk. So old motherboards, power supplies, things like that. And I'll explain more later. But it was originally going to be called Repurposing Rubbish. And this was inspired by the Waste Electrical and Electronic Equipment Directive, which is upon us. And some of you might have seen Wee Man, which was a sculpture by Paul Buonanno. It was on South Bank by the London Assembly Building. The artist worked out that we in Britain get through 3.3 tons of waste electrical and electronic goods in a lifetime. I actually think that's a very low estimate. So I think that's probably rather kind of Luddite estimate. I mean, for instance, this is my bathroom. I've got at least a quarter of a ton of stuff in there, and I'm not dead yet. So I think this is, the 3.3 tons is a low estimate. And he made this sculpture which is both scary conceptually and actually quite scary visually as well. So I was trying to think of things you can do with waste electrical and electronic equipment. And if you want to be all kind of management consultancy in the household, you say you can use the components and modules that are in them. You can reconfigure what you find for some new purpose. Basically taking what is inside something and rewiring it. If neither of those options appeal, you can just blow it up or even shoot it, all of which I shall be demonstrating this afternoon. And again, if you want to play a management consultant, you can make a graph. And the pertinent issues are how many components are in a piece of electrical equipment, and the application specificity of them. Are they general purpose or are they highly application specific? If you look at something like a video recorder, you've got quite a good spread of components. You've got some really low-tech general purpose things like capacitors, resistors, transistors, bits of power supply, and then sort of towards the middle of the graph you've got things that might be useful for something else but are pretty application specific, things like glass delay lines, quartz crystals at very low frequencies. And then at the high end of the graph you've got things like the microcontroller, which is not just application specific but specific to that particular model of video. The thing about videos is that they've been around for nearly 30 years, and most of them don't last more than 5 or 6. It's usually some minor mechanical thing that goes off tolerance and screws the picture up, and it's just not worth repairing them. But the thing that you throw away still has a working power supply. It has, generally speaking, 99% of it have a working power supply, a working timer, and enough life in the mechanism so that you can get motors to turn under timer control or even under remote control. So this actually suggests an absolutely obvious application for a rebuild of a video, and you can turn it into a cat feeding machine. And so what you have is at the appointed time, the motors turn, cat food is dispensed, and you could even just obviate having to touch cat food and use your remote control to make the mechanism turn and dispense. There's a cat actually eating it, it's called Harley. The actual dispensing part is an old meat grinder with the grinding blades removed and just the pedicle shaft working as an auger to propel cat food out front. You get a choice of motors. Basically, the video has fewer than 2 motors, and the posh ones and the old ones can have up to 6. If it's an edit machine, you can have up to 6 motors. If you have a really old video, you have 1 motor per function just about. And so you need to find which ones work and have enough torque to propel cat food. Or if you want to do a general purpose approach, you've always got the head rotation motor, which goes around pretty fast and has a bit of torque, including the reduction here. But yeah, that's the main thing. So that's your VCR into a cat food machine. Now, another thing that people are throwing away a lot of are pen plotters, which were the mainstay of engineering departments and architects a few years ago. And now they do Fetch and Zilch. I bought this one in eBay for 18 quid, thinking it was a nice thing. But they've been completely killed off by inkjet, which has unlimited colours and is more versatile. And it's a shame because these are actually quite nice bits of equipment. They actually draw lines with a pen and move the pen backwards and forwards, paper backwards and forwards. So basically you've got two set motors under computer control, X and Y, and a solenoid pushing the pen up and down. So what can you do? You've got one step motor on shaft for moving the pen carriage on shaft back and forth. And this is really where the shooting comes in, because the obvious thing to do with an old plotter worth 18 quid is to turn this into a shooting gun. So it doesn't take a lot of modification, a closed peg and a paper tap, and off you go. And you can either just get into it back and forth, or you can do more exotic things. This is me getting violent. But the other thing is that what do you do with the other motor? Because you've got the motor that propels paper. Well, obviously you can make it have another type, and therefore just be a little bit more complicated. And this is the easy setting. It's just the ducks. But if you want to have the difficult setting, this is called printing ASCII to ducks. So this is one easy task, not very, very hard. What about CRT monitors? Again, we've got a lot of low-tech components, lots of analog electronics. Not much in the middle, and we've got the very application-specific components like the tube itself and the yoke and some microcontrollers and what have you. But are they that application-specific? I need to try not to get sued at this point. Playing around with the insides of monitors is incredibly dangerous. Not obviously, there's a risk of electrocution, which I'm sure you're aware of. But moreover, if you start playing with the HT section and start boosting it up, you can dose yourself with X-rays rather. Sort of radiotherapy-like way. They're very dirty. The tubes can encode extreme violence if you crack them, and they're quite fragile in the neck. So take great care and don't do it in the brain soon. But so there's a deflection here of colour monitor. What can you do with that? That would seem to be quite application-specific. Well, you can just put some DC through it and it warms up. So you can warm your eggs or squash balls, or you can use kind of electrical copies, or you can play music through it. And if you play music through it, whilst it's still part of the monitor, you get this nice XY display, which can look quite seamless, which are seamless. And if you then contrive some nice sine wave signals, you can do something even more artistic. And it's not so much a screensaver as a screen user upper, because the lines are very bright. But nevertheless, it's probably better to do it. And this monitor is on the street, so how is it speaking in town? Again, it does involve taking monitor to bits, and it's really interesting. You might have to get a TV repairman to advise, because there are the opportunities for death are really quite extreme, which is plentiful. Now, this video is just start, which is really second. Second, start. Okay, let's start. Now, the other thing is that if most monitors, when you don't give them a signal, and they just light up, say, check cable, signal, what have you, they will default to VGA standards. Now, horizontal on VGA is 31.5 kilohertz. What can you do with 31.5 kilohertz? Well, if you put a piezo tweeter in parallel with the horizontal flexion panel, that will rid your house of any animal, mice, dogs, what have you, with great efficiency, because these are the things that you buy that radiate ultrasound and cost you So that's what we do. We have a piezo tweeter, an oscillator, and they spew out ultrasound at Amazon. But you can get that from Larsson. So, the other thing is what you do with high voltages. I've often thought that you could talk to somebody who knew nothing about electricity or electronics at all and say, where's the dangerous voltage? And they correctly point out the anode. And that's what it actually looks like. If you start to short it out, that sparks an outage. And the camera shake is because I was framed. And you can make things like an insect diffuser. This is me with artificial flies. That's filmed in January, working with real flies. Similarly, you can make a house fan for mice with particular bits like ironic if you ultrasound, you can get them. I've seen the little one. And last but not least, and this is called, so I'm going to try and this was October 2002. Defibrillate this part of the chip. Let's see whether the monitors actually have healing power. This chick is delaying. Oh, Tony, you can make it? That's recreating experiments of Volta and Galvani a couple of years ago, but with chicken and frogs. Now we come to the hard bit, because motherboards, what are they good for other than being motherboards? You've got almost no general purpose components. You've got a few capacitors, a few conductors, but really all the component counts is on the very highly application-specific things like the water-bridge chips, self-bridge, and everything. There's absolutely something what you can do with that. Or is because I think what you can do is have a melding of classic children's game, Kaplunk, and the scene in 2001 where Hal is decommissioned. And in Kaplunk, you pull out little toothpicks and marbles fall into a receptacle. And in motherboard Kaplunk, you have contestants with soldering irons who remove low criticality components from a working motherboard. And whoever is the last one to remove a component before they get either a crash or the Windows blue screen of death is the loser. So I have this is, here's the model. It's quite a lot of some basis technology on board. That's means desoldering all the capacitors. It's by the way, I have two motherboards that will perforate outside and two solder ones. Anybody wants to do this? So that capacitor's gone. It's empty. Still running. Now that diode looks far away from the action. Still going. You see? All these low criticality components. Now, the problem is the crashes form in one place. It usually just locks up, which it just did. Or you can have move the Windows blue screen of death, which you get more points for. I'm looking at a point scoring system so that things like decoupling capacitors have a few points. Things like crystals in the sound system have more points. And if you can get one of the big chips off with surface mount rework technology, then you get a whole bunch of points. So that's not a problem. The next children's game with PC components, it would be PSU Buckaroo. And Buckaroo, which is this kind of donkey thing, which you put little plastic buckets and stuff on, and then if you put too many plastic buckets on, it barks and throws them all off. And PSU Buckaroo is the same idea, but you load more and more peripherals onto a switch power supply from the PC, exceed its rating, and it will either shut down or start making squealing noises, literally, or you release the magic smoke within. Sadly, I haven't actually done this yet, but that's the next children's game. This is partly inspired by the fact that I've got 6 godchildren, all of whom want Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which I refuse to buy them. I say, you've got to have some home game lessons. And so they're going to not thank me for this. But that is it. That's number 1.